in today's video, we are going to learn about heuristics and automatic processing. So, the complexity of the social world and the limited nature of cognitive processing can result in information overload. Okay, we all know that our social world is so complicated and there are so phenomena which we need to understand, like parenting, then how do we conform with others, and there are so many social phenomena. So basically, the social world is so complex, and then our cognitive processing is limited in nature. So it can result in information overload because social world has so many phenomena in it, and it is so complex, and then our cognitive processing is limited. So this results in information overload. And a strategy to reduce mental effort is the use of heuristics. Okay, heuristic is basically a strategy which reduces your mental effort. So basically, heuristics are simple rules for making complex decisions or drawing inferences in a rapid, seemingly effortless manner. Simple rules for making complex decisions or drawing inferences in a rapid, seemingly effortless manner. We will understand that in detail. Let's move on. So there are basically many types of heuristics. First one is representativeness, which is about making judgments based on the extent to which current stimuli or events resemble other stimuli or categories. Okay, so the similarity of an individual to typical members of a given group results in the judgment that the individual belongs to that group. Judgments based on this rule can be wrong because base rates are often ignored. Okay. Then there is another type of heuristic, which is availability. So it is about making judgments on the basis of how easily specific kind of information can be brought to mind. And judgments based on this rule can be wrong because the likelihood of events that are dramatic but rare can be overestimated. This heuristic is related to priming. We learned about priming in the last video of social cognition and schemas. So basically, this heuristic is related to priming, which occurs when stimuli or events increase the availability in memory or consciousness of a specific type of information held in memory. Okay. So let's revise once again that heuristics basically include the strategies which reduce mental effort. There are simple rules for making complex decisions or drawing inferences in a rapid, seemingly effortless manner. Then we learned about representativeness heuristic and availability heuristic. Representativeness is basically like, making judgments based on the extent to which current stimuli or events resemble other stimuli or categories, like to be included in a group. You try to resemble them. Suppose there is a group, and so they basically, dress in a same color code to represent that they are a team. So basically, there are many other things which you can do to resemble a particular group. For example, a particular group just speaks in Hindi. So you can, if you want to belong to that group, you can start learning Hindi if you don't know Hindi. So, like that, representative heuristic is there, but judgments based on this rule can be wrong because base rates are often ignored. Then, in availability heuristic, it is just about, how easily you can remember something, how easily specific kind of information can be brought to your mind. And this one is related to priming, and we learned about priming in the last video. Moving on, there is another type of heuristic which is anchoring and adjustment. So basically, it is the tendency to make judgments using a number or value as a starting point to which adjustments then are made. Judgments based on this rule can be wrong because anchors often are arbitrary, and personal experience do not serve as good anchors since they are unique and unusual and therefore inapplicable. Okay. Uh, Moving on. automatic processing. So, automatic processing, after extensive experience, information processing becomes effortless, involuntary, unintentional, and non conscious. Automatic processing versus controlled processing, which is effortful and conscious, offers gains in efficiency that can be offset by inaccurate processing of social information. An example is the automatic activation of stereotypes. Automatic activation of schemas can lead to automatic effects on social behavior. In controlled processing, thoughts occurs in systematic, logical, careful, and highly effortful manner. Then let's learn about the difference between controlled versus automatic processing. So these are two systems for evaluating social stimuli. uh, then evidence from social neuroscience. So different parts of the brain are activated depending on which type of social evaluation people make, controlled or automatic. So the amygdala can be involved in automatic. We can just say, simple good versus bad judgments. Portions of the prefrontal cortex appear to be implicated in controlled evaluative reaction. Okay, amygdala is involved in automatic processing, while prefrontal cortex is responsible for controlled processing. Potential sources of error can be there. First one is negativity bias. So people basically show greater sensitivity to negative information than to positive information. Basically, people are faster and more accurate at identifying threatening facial expression than positive facial expression. Bias may be explained by evolutionary factors. Okay, negative information reflects features of the external worlds that may threaten safety and well-being. Okay, so as you can see in the graph, there are type of face on x-axis, and then there are percentage of correct identifications on y-axis. So basically, those who look friendly, their percentage of correct identification is 95%. Then if they have a scheming type of face, then it's 94. If they have sad, then it's again 95. And if they have threatening, then it's 98. Okay, so you can see that when it comes to threatening, it's 98. Then another type of error is optimistic bias. So this is basically the predisposition to expect things to turn out well overall. Like you say, at the end, we will be able to achieve something. So people believe that they are more likely than others to experience good outcomes and less likely to experience bad outcomes. There is overconfidence barrier, which is basically the tendency to have more confidence in the accuracy of judgments than is reasonable. Then planning fallacy, tendency to make optimistic predictions about how long it will take to complete a task. You usually say, suppose you are making your study timetable, so you basically assume that you can complete 4 chapters in 8 hours, but then you realize you can't. So it occurs because people tend to focus on the future while ignoring related past events, and they overlook important potential obstacles. Bracing for loss, an exception to the optimistic bias. When people expect to experience something negative that has important consequences for them, they tend to become pessimistic, anticipating a negative outcome. The desire to brace for a loss may be an adaptive tendency that helps people protect themselves from bad news. Then there is counterfactual thinking. So it is basically the tendency to imagine other outcomes in a situation than the ones that actually occurred. Thoughts may occur automatically and require cognitive effort to dismiss. People who have these thoughts can experience both benefits, that is, hopefulness, and costs, that may include regret. It can either boost or depress current moods. It can mitigate the bitterness of disappointments. Then there is thought suppression, basically the efforts to prevent certain thoughts from entering consciousness. It involves two processes. First one is monitoring, automatic search for unwanted thoughts, then operating, which is controlled conscious attempt to distract oneself by thinking about something else. There is rebound effect, which occurs when someone is fatigued or experiencing information overload. Result is only monitoring processes working. Suppressing unwanted thoughts may actually increase them. People high in reactance react very negatively to perceived threats to freedom, shows stronger rebound effect. Then there is magical thinking, which is basically the thinking based on irrational assumption. Examples are thinking that one's thoughts can influence the physical world and thinking that things that resemble each other share basic properties. Failure to take account of moderating variables. People are not good at acknowledging the roles that moderating variables, basically the factors that may be influencing an outcome, play. Okay. So that is it for today's video. So in today's video, we learned about heuristics and types of heuristics, in which we learned about three types of heuristics: representative, availability, and anchoring and adjustment. Then we learned about automatic processing and controlled processing. Then we learned about potential sources of error, in which we covered negativity bias, optimistic bias, uh, then planning policy, uh, and counterfactual thinking, thought suppression, magical thinking, and yeah. So these we covered all these things. These all are very important. Questions have been asked from all of these questions in the previous year papers of even CUET, UGC NET, every exam basically. So yes, this is very important. If you have any doubt, please do ask in the comment section. And thank you so much for watching the video. I will see you all in the next video.